Right. A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, a very warm welcome to IPS IGS or News Malaysia. And this morning we are here to listen to our guest from Nigeria, University of Nigeria, brought to you by ADON. ADON stands for Africa Asia Development University Network. And this ADON is actually headed by Professor Azira Hashim here, who is the Dean of the Research Cluster on Humanities and Ethics. And my project is just one of it. There are 5 projects in ADON: renewable energy, sustainable waste management, public health, women in science and technology, and also food security. So I'm actually in charge of the women in science and technology. And I'm Prof. Lau. I'm basically based at the Faculty of Medicine, University of Malaya. Now, the area of women and women in science and technology is indeed a very much under-researched area, particularly so in Malaysia, and I would like to think so as well in Nigeria. So this morning we have our distinguished guest speaker from the University of Nigeria, Dr. Nkechi. And let me just introduce her to you. Dr. Nkechi Onyeneho holds a master and doctorate degrees in sociology, anthropology, specializing in women's studies and medical sociology, anthropology, respectively. She is currently a senior lecturer in the Department of Sociology, Anthropology, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Unigo State, Nigeria. She has participated in some multidisciplinary and sometimes multi-institutional studies involving scholars from different countries in Africa, acting as lead social scientists in a sizable number. Some of the studies include those on control of childhood illnesses, malaria, reproductive health hazards, I don't know what this is, onchocerciasis, right, and tuberculosis, sponsored by local, international, and multilateral organizations. Her publications include technical reports, peer-reviewed scientific papers, and articles published in local and international peer-reviewed journals, such as Malaria Journal, Tropical Medicine and International Health, International Journal of Equity in Health, International Quarterly of Community Health Education, Tanzania Health Review Bulletin, Journal of the Population Association of Nigeria, among others. Her books, Roles Without Power, X-ray the inequalities of women encounter when seeking help for a frail child. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Dr. Nkechi.
Hello, good morning again. Professors here present, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Nkechi Onyeneho. She already told you I'm from University of Nigeria, Nsukka. I hope you can hear me, everybody. Okay. This morning, I'm here to discuss with you the situation of women in science and technology in my country, Nigeria. And to do that, I would like to, first of all, talk to you about early education, how education came into Nigeria, that's Western education. Then trends in university enrollment in Nigeria, and then women in science and technology. And I've been wondering, why do we have so few women in this very important area? Because this is, science and technology is very important for national development. And any country that is looking to develop must use the vast potentials of women. I'm sure you know that Nigeria has about 160 million people, and women constitute almost half of this 160 million. So I've also made some recommendation and then concluded. Good. I'll give you a brief account, of how Western education came into Nigeria. Okay. In earlier times, the education of girls was not important to us because they were expected to get married and rear children, bear and rear children. And the boys were trained in the, particular craft of their ethnic groups. So what happened was that it wasn't important to give girls an education because they only needed to know enough to keep a home. But about 1845, the Church Missionary Society came to Nigeria and established what you would call Western education, a school for Western education. But at that time, the curriculum was mostly interested in courses in religion and arts, just enough for them to be able to win souls. But later on, the private sector got involved in the economy of the country, and they had to, companies like Shell, BP, and USC came in. And they needed to train people to run their machines and to maintain them. So they established a training school. At that point, only men were trained because it was inconceivable to find women working outside the home. For that reason, only males were trained. And this has continued somewhat, even though the trends have slightly shifted. But eventually, you will find that although women have started going to school, the rate of outturn, the rate at which women graduate, is still very low. You would find that at the point of entry, good. I may need to use yours. This isn't working well. At the point of entry, there is no difference. The rate of enrollment is almost the same. Boys and girls in Nigeria these days get the same chances to go to school. As a matter of fact, education at this level is free, so they get the same chances. But this is still at the beginning. You will find that it's almost, the figures will show you almost the same for boys and for girls here and for boys. But as they progress to the secondary school level, you will find changes. You will begin to see changes. While girls will begin to drop out, boys will continue. This morning, we're going to look at the reasons. I'll be telling you reasons why girls will go into school at the same time, that is, get into school at the same time with boys at the same rate, but at the point of graduation, you have less girls graduating. Then at the university level, you also find that even when more girls enroll in schools, by the time they get into the university, you don't find as many girls again. We'll be looking at what is responsible for that this morning. Good. Now, trends in female enrollment. This here is total school enrollment and females enrolled in Nigerian universities between 2001 to 2006, that is 2001, 2006, and 2009 to 2011 sessions. Okay. Over the years, university enrollment in Nigeria has been increasing. But you will find that total enrollment, even if it's high, the number of girls who actually get into school is a lot lower than that of boys. Look at this. 2001 and 2002, you had a total enrollment of, let's say, 450,000. Out of this, the percentage that is female is just 20. Now, the line graph here represents the trends. This is absolute numbers of total enrollment. This here in percentage is the percentage of girls, females, who get into school. If you go to 2010, 2011, the number is almost 900,000 total enrollment, but the percentage of female enrollment is just 40. This, to me, is very low. Now, if you look at enrollment by type of institution, we have different institutions in Nigeria. We have the federal universities. They take more students, but then they take far less students because some of these federal universities are actually universities of technology. They are strictly for technology. So in such universities, you will find them taking less females. Let me give you an example with this Federal University of Technology, where okay, this is a conventional university, not the one for technology. You find them being capable of taking up to over 33,000 students. But the number that is female is 7,000 here. Now, if you go to a typical Federal University of Technology, you'll find that they have the capacity to take up to 19,000, but the number that is female is just slightly above 1,000. You see? Now, there are also state universities. These ones are less subsidized. These federal universities are very much subsidized. But the state universities, you find that they have the ability to take up to 31,000, slightly 31,000, more than 27,000. But the number of girls they are able to take is this, about 1,500. Then again, when you talk of enrollment in the sciences, here, enrollment in subsidized federal universities by disciplines, you will find this here is engineering technology in the federal universities. This here is 2002, 2003, here. This is what you have. Then for 2006, 2007, this is what we have. But when you look at the absolute number of females who get enrolled in these schools, then again you hit the brick wall, because the engineering and hardcore sciences are actually drivers of development in any country. So, but in Nigeria, you find that women who actually constitute almost half of the population their potentials are not harnessed in this area. Again, enrollment by discipline in Nigeria. This is proportion of enrollment in the disciplines that are, in all of these disciplines that are females. Here you find arts up here. Then you find law up here. Engineering just down here. This is a recent data from NUC. NUC is the body that regulates tertiary education in Nigeria. So, and their data has revealed the worsening situation in the presence of women in science and technology as compared to other disciplines. This is not to say that women don't go to school in Nigeria, but the number of women who are getting into the sciences is, abysmally low. And now, at the point of graduation, many women actually get into school. But women constitute less than 50% of those who go on to get a postgraduate diploma every year. Women, again, are much fewer women earn postgraduate diplomas in the mainline sciences like engineering technology each year. You can look at this here. But if you looked at the data for other disciplines, you will find women doing okay there. So our worry is, what is it that makes it impossible for women to enroll in sciences and stay there? Okay, here again, first degree holders, women again in engineering are much less. The number of women who go into engineering and graduate. Then, this here, female master's degree holders in the sciences. That is the number of women who will finish first degree and go on to get a higher degree in the sciences. Engineering here again, it's very low. You would only find them doing very well in places like agriculture, medicine, and then pharmacy. Oh. Now, it's at the doctoral level you find a most abysmal situation. Much fewer women go on to get PhDs in the sciences, especially. Again, engineering, it's very, very low for all the years. What is responsible for the fact that at this level, women are just not represented? They are just not there. Now, let's talk about why women are not where they should be. Why is it that this large number cannot be involved in the development of their nation. People have people have decided that it may be biological. They have said it may be psychological. I am saying it may be sociocultural. We'll discuss all of this and make a decision on what is really responsible. Now, do you think it's biological? Is it possible that there are inherent differences between the sexes? Is it possible that women are not, they don't have enough brain power, are not mentally endowed to get involved in abstract reasoning that is required in science? What is the reason? Do we have lesser innate ability? Or is it something else? Would it be psychological? Is it possible that women don't have interest in science? For instance, a study in Nigeria showed that of the 72 science textbooks used in Nigeria, that all of the examples therein had male bias. Men were used as examples. The nouns and pronouns used were male. Is it possible that this affects women? This looks like there's masculinization of science. Science is male domain. So the women just lose interest. Is it possible? Could that be the reason? Now, will the social culture, the cultural environment, would it give us anything tangible to think about? Is it possible that we can get our answers from the homes, from the schools? Is it possible that culture has a role to play in the ability of women to either join science and stay, or begin science and drop out? Let's see. Now, literature suggests that gender role, what men and women do in the homes, is responsible for this. And I'm given to believing that this is true because from the day they are born, girls are born in Nigeria, they are made to understand that their place is in the home, that the expressive roles is theirs. They have to bear and rear children. They have to make the home comfortable for the man. But the males are given the push to go on out there and achieve in the science or elsewhere. Again, the behavior pattern of women as regards to science can be found in their socialization experiences. What a girl watches her mother do is most likely what she will do. If a girl comes from a home, middle-class home, where the mother is educated, the father is educated, chances are that she's going to want to go on and achieve because she will have support from the family. She will have support from people around her. The odds weigh heavily against females in Nigeria, especially those who choose to pursue a career in science. They face a number of problems. For instance, before a girl graduates in Nigeria, she's already hitting the age of 20, 21, and at this age, you're expected to be married. Even if you have the wherewithal to continue your education, marriage is highly prized in Nigeria. A family is highly prized. As a matter of fact, large families are highly prized in my culture, such that you must get married. Otherwise, you're like a misfit. So the burden that marriage places on you, having children places on you, makes it almost impossible for women to, stay in the sciences. So when they enroll with the boys, they compete at the same level. Women have the ability, the innate ability. They have the brain power. They compete favorably with the boys at the point of entry. But before women graduate, they have this sociocultural pool. They get involved in things that make it impossible for them to continue. However, there are women in Nigeria who have been able to break the barriers they've been able to achieve in spite of all the odds. Now, I am thinking, if such women in Nigeria are able to break the barriers and achieve for themselves, like Professor KK, who has been able to win this prize for women in science, then it's possible that many more women can do so. But I am suggesting that there is need for mentoring in Nigeria and even elsewhere. There is need to look out for what is it that is responsible for these people's success. Is it their upbringing? Is it their background? Is it their personality? What in their social environment has enabled them to surmount the pressures and kind of swim against the tide? These questions will have to wait for another study. Another study will have to be conducted to go on to look into the backgrounds of these women and see how they were able to achieve what they've been able to achieve. Now, for any developmental effort, there is need to harness the potentials of women. And like I said earlier, in Nigeria, there's a huge number of people, 49% of this absolute number, is kind of left out in our developmental effort. So we must look back. We must look inwards. We must harness the potentials of this number of people. Now, there is need to strengthen the participation of women in science and technology. It's important to include women fully in science and technology endeavors, especially by making it possible for them to occupy leadership positions. And then there should be deliberate steps to build a critical mass of scientists and engineers respecting gender balance. This is not to say that one who's not qualified should be pushed, should be forced to carry on. But there are women who are able to, who can do it, but will not go on because there are, they have factors pulling them. Now, we can look for those barriers and help them break it so that they can move on, so that they can achieve what they're able to achieve. And in the end, that will spell development for the country. Terry Makasi, thank you. I'm sure people want to ask questions.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Nkachi, for an excellent presentation. And, her presentation, although it's very much focused in the area of education, but even in that field, her statistics has actually shown that there is still a lack of participation of women and girls, in the areas of science and technology. And during her presentation as well, you can see that she has also given us a diagnosis of, particularly from the social cultural aspect of this lack of participation of women and girls in the area of science and technology. And the purpose of Wadon here, it's perhaps to find solutions, or it may, we may not have the solutions, to answer all her questions, but at least seek further understanding of this lack of representation of women and girls in the field of science and technology. And with that, I think I will open the floor for discussion, if there's any questions from the floor.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation, Doctor. My name is Nuruddin Mohammed from International Relations Department here. I was wondering, you've talked about biological... Yeah, she knows I'm a Nigerian. You talked about biological, psychological, and social-cultural issues. I just want to have your view on issue of governance, basically is zeroed back to issue of governance in Nigeria, whereby unfavorable environment for study, it could be added to these factors you mentioned, whereby you study medicine and you go and be a manager in a bank. That could be also contributing factor. Okay, a girl wouldn't go to study in, engineering, why she knows that wouldn't determine where she will work as an engineer. She might end up in the bank or any other institution, not necessarily practicing engineering or medicine. Thank you.
Okay, I want to go back to sociocultural issues because a girl who studies engineering and is worried about where she will work, whether she will find a place to practice, why is that so? But she will take a job in the banks. Why would she take a job in the bank? Because both jobs are very demanding. A girl who leaves her field of engineering to work in the bank will even have it worse because you know our background. In Nigeria, bank workers, they work all day, almost half the night. The reason a girl will leave engineering in Nigeria, from what I've seen, it's because it takes her away from home too much. It takes her away from home because she has to go to site and all of that. Otherwise, you will agree with me that bank job is that stressful, is that demanding. So I am placing it at the doorstep of her need to be at home, to do her job as a mother, as a wife. Thank you. I hope this has helped.
It's actually very interesting that you have brought up this subject of the career change. In fact, if I may call upon Dr. Goy, is from UNIMAS, University of Malaysia Sarawak, who is part of our team as well, where she's trying to look at the career path, of girls who actually go into science, classes and science degree and whatnot. And at the end of the day, they might not be practicing what they're actually learning. So I think this is exactly what you're asking. Perhaps, Dr. Goa, you would like to comment on that? Would you want to share your thoughts?
I think there are many reasons why these women along the way, they may leave the job place with their credential. Could it be the working conditions, like what Mkechi mentioned just now? The working hours might be, in the field work to practice as an engineer might be too long, and you have to be away from home. And in order to take care of the family at the same time, they may leave. And maybe because of the culture in the organization whereby it's a male or dominated kind of the career. And sometimes the women, in order to penetrate that kind of these barriers, they have to act like a man. And the jobs that they're given to them might be not challenging enough. They are capable, but they are not given that kind of job because the employer always feel that women are riskier to invest on. So they refuse. They give very little chance for the on-the-job of training, less promotion, and they may not pay equally. Because I'm looking at these discrimination in my PhD study, and unfortunate enough, discrimination plays a very important factor why women earn much less than women and than men, and why women are given this kind of job and not that kind of jobs. You see, when I look into the factors of the women and men of the same credential, but unfortunately in my study, I don't have their field of study. I know they're in the tertiary education. I know they are married for the men as well. But the men, the women, they are given the jobs which is less, or what you say, contribute more to the segregation. So what explains that? So after some times, if I face that kind of situation, I may just say, well, I may just opt out from this kind of jobs and go to something else. I hope I explained your question, yeah?
Any further questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. My name is Aloyo Gilere. I'm doing a PhD in law, and my area is on exploitation of women and then the dignity of women. I must state that most problems with women in or out of science and technology should be found inwards. Women need to look inwards. Because engineering, for instance, it's masculine in nature, whether we like it or not, whether in Africa or in Asia, maybe not in Europe. Because, for instance, right here in Malaysia, I have seen a whole lot of construction work going on. I've seen equipments driven by the workers. I've seen the laborers. Incidentally, they are all men. So where are the women scientists? Where are the women engineers in Malaysia? It's the same thing in Africa. But the difference is that in Africa, the menial jobs in the field of science and technology are undertaken by women, most women. They mix the cement, they carry them to the sites, etc. Maybe because they are economically disadvantaged, they are vulnerable, and therefore have no choice than to do the jobs of men. So I also wish you would, take a look at that aspect of it, looking inwards. Thank you very much.
Yes, good
Right,
morning.
thanks for insight, yes.
Okay. As a follow-up to what my colleague has just said, I would like to place this discussion, and contextualize it with particular reference to culture. I'm a Nigerian, and a typical African. And in the African culture, we have preference for the males, and again, apart from this preference for males, women are treated as second fiddles. And be that as it may, they are always allowed, culturally to do menial jobs, like, domestic jobs. And that also influence to an extent the kind of academic pursuit or the kind of disciplines they engage in. And it could suggest also the reason why in one of the slides, many women are involved in the arts discipline, And again, following what my friend has also pointed out, the discipline of engineering is masculine in nature, definitely. And in the typical African context, in some decades ago, engineering was seen as something that has to do with physical strength, physical energy, and in those days also, there were no technologies, there were no machines. So most of the engineering works were done with physical strength, based on physical strength. So this, in my opinion, may have influenced to an extent the number of women that enroll in engineering courses. Thanks.
But you will agree with me, you just mentioned it, things have changed. Engineering no longer has to do with physical strength. We lose a lot of, human resources by allowing women, by ensuring that our culture continues, that is, that women continue to do only menial jobs. Because you will agree with me again, that women have the capacity to do as much as men can do. And besides engineering, women are not getting enrolled in other core sciences. I agree that the woman must take care of the home, but that also means that we're losing out on a lot of labor that the women can contribute. I don't mean physical labor now. A lot that women can contribute to the development of our country and other countries is being lost. So what we're saying here is that, is it possible that we can encourage women to do what they are capable of doing? Is it possible that whatever it is, that those sociocultural factors, can we remove them because they pose as barriers to women's ability to contribute to development? It's very correct to say that in those days, engineering was very physical. But in these days, it's no longer so. Machine has taken over what man should do. And what you're saying also goes further to buttress my point of science being masculinized. This happened because in those days, men were allowed to go far afield and achieve and, take care of the family. But expressive roles were left for the women. But now things have changed. We have found that women have the ability. So let us, by ourselves, since we know what the problem is, remove these barriers for the women so that they can contribute to national development. Thank you very much.
May I add it now? Yeah. Let's look at the case during the Second World War. Men in America, they went to war. Who joined the labor force then? It's the women. But when the war is over, the women, they were pushed back to the home. What explained that? But when the men, they were in the war, why they asked the women to come out and work then? Women are capable in that sense, right? This is true. But why women are there? Why we have to be the reserve army? And there's another situation whereby there's a case whereby Mr. Jones, he was sick. And then his job, because he supplied the goods to an employer, and then he was so sick, and the wife came in to do all the jobs and supply the goods. And the employer paid whatever amount that paid to Mr. Jones as before. Right. However, when Mr. Jones passed away, the employer knows that he passed away already. Immediately, the goods supplied by the wife at that time pay less than what they paid to Mr. Jones before. Although they know that it was the wife who did everything. But why again? They pay less when Mr. Jones passed away. This is a true story.
I still have a query. Nkechi said, and my colleague agreed, that engineering was masculine in those days. Now it is no longer masculine. The question reverberates. How come, even now that it is no longer masculine, you still don't find women driving the machines in Malaysia, for instance? In fact, now you have less women in science and technology now, in engineering particularly now, than in those days when it was masculine. Because with the volume of constructions going on here, I don't see why, up to this moment, I have not seen any woman mounted on any of those payloaders or any of those equipments. So these are issues to look at, and that's why I insist that the problem with women is with themselves. They have to go for employment, seek the employment if they want to do a man's job, because women by their natural creation are vulnerable. That is why if a person is soft, they say this person is being feminine. So women by their nature are feminine, and that femininity extends to the choices of professions they undertake. They do well in medicine. Medicine is science. They don't go to war. War is masculine. It's scientific too, because you need to pull the trigger. You need to read the equipment. Yet, so what I insist as an African is that the roles of women, as stereotyped as they are most likely to remain the same until women themselves decide to come out of their shells by breaking their own barriers. Thank you.
Exactly, that was what I want to say. Exactly, sorry, that was exactly what I wanted to say. I'm Raji Aminat Abiodun, a PhD biotechnologist. I'm from Nigeria. And I think I can speak well on this because I happen to come from the two major parts of the country, the north and the west, and happen to serve in the east. So it's like I know then works in a polytechnic where, you know, what we do is teach science and technology. I agree with my senior colleague that said it's true that we had few women enrolling in this because there was a time in my own polytechnic, the Federal Polytechnic Ede, my rector even made it sure that at least we have enrollment, and they made it 70-30. That's in respect of science to arts. But still, you will still see that the women are in either in that, what my HOD would say, liberal studies. So, like you said, I wanted to say, you said you said that it's the men that create the barrier for us. Because the culture, just like, especially, sorry, from the tribe he comes from, the women are made to bear children until they, at times, they are become so, I don't know, their womb become, maybe until the womb say that I will no longer accept. You said?
Where did he come from?
Yeah, at times you see women having 12 children. So a woman that at least every year before she finished nursing one, you are already giving her another one. How do you expect her womb is not ready has not even gotten back to its position before you even put another one, and you expect her to mount on this crane. on the crane. Tell me how you expect her to do that. So mostly our problem in Nigeria is culture. So when I go here to this country, Asia, then at times I thought religion, but when I go here, I saw a different ballgame. Because here, maybe the Muslim population higher. I think I may be wrong. So we, the Muslims over there, the kind of, especially in the north, they believe that the woman should be in the kitchen. Her place is in the kitchen. Right? Even though she's educated, you can see a PhD, master degree holder, the man, because it's rich, will decide, especially in the north, will pay her salary and say remain indoors. Why? Maybe because they're hiding under their religion, but when I got to know that it's not even religion, at times it's they are just being biased, or maybe because I don't want any other man to look at my wife. So when I got to, the Muslims are here. So you can see that when I go here to Asia, I saw a different ballgame because I can see, in fact, here in UM, I saw many women achievers. In fact, before I see men, it's about 6 women to maybe 4 men here in Unimalaya. So in fact, I was impressed. So it gave me a different idea of maybe these are religious, because I thought maybe some of us that are in sciences, in core sciences, maybe we have been over. But thank God, when I came to Malaysia, I am happy to be a scientist, and I think I'll go ahead to be a scientist. So most of the problem that we have in Nigeria is being caused by culture, and most of the problem is caused by men. Because number one, once you want to liberate yourself, they will say Beijing conference, that yes, you belong to that group. So, and they will start to you especially when you are in the midst of people that are not too educated, they will now give you a name. So most women will now want to go back to their shell. They will not bring their best. But if you see, like from where I come from, like last year in the university in Osun State, the Osun State Polytechnic, the person with the best CP, the best graduate of that year, and the other year, most of them in sciences, they are from science and they are women. So that's one of the problems. Men, that's why I'm sure he's still saying it, because from the tribe he comes from in particular, a woman is made to be a baby factory. It's for her to just be manufacturing babies. And at the end of the day, you find that even when you go to these sites, it is the women that does the menial job. Because you see, it's the women that mix the cement. They are the one that carry. The man is just there to collect and just mold they will carry the block on their head, give it to the man. The man is just to put it there and just put a little cement. Am I lying?
Or no cement at all.
Or no cement at all. So you can see. Thank you. But to the presenter, it's like you are a bit biased because most of your examples of women achievers came from the East. Where is people like Zainab Sharif?
We are discussing Nigeria.
Who are readily available. They are my colleagues in the university.
So people like Zainab Sharif and the rest, we have a lot of them in the West women.
It's not that these are my colleagues
Alele
in the
Williams,
university.
mathematician. Okay, we are talking of sciences. We have people like Kufuruji Olubi and all the
No, these
rest
two
like that.
have won UNESCO awards.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Okay,
and
because
it's,
they
you
have
know,
won award.
yeah, it's in the front burner now. You know,
Okay.
they're the ones we're talking about. And
So
they are
I just pray that the men are here. Maybe they will carry this. It's the men that are a problem in Africa. And the political, especially you can see even in position of authority. Look, if not for Jonathan now, that gave women a little bit, you can see the woman will not be allowed to even go to politics or do this because they believe that if you go to politics, you will no longer be under control.
Okay. Right. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for the excellent comment. Yeah, Prof. Zero.
Yeah, are there any government initiatives to improve the situation for women in Nigeria, and with maybe women's voices being heard much more, are there prospects that the situation will improve?
Our president has ensured that there's 30% inclusion for women.
Is it up to?
Yeah, it's 30%. 30. Yes. But it's on paper. We haven't seen it happening. So maybe with time, something will happen. But for now, there's a lot to be done. So.
Right. Yes. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Nkechi. Thank you for your presentation. I've got a question regarding the degree of generalizability of your findings. As far as I know, the northern Nigeria is different from the southern Nigeria in certain ways, including sociocultural, let's say, factors. I wonder if the findings here are just, do have a sort of generalizability nationwide or to a certain...
This data is national data.
National.
Yes.
It's from the National
It's from
Demographic
the-
and Health Survey. 2012.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a national survey.
Okay.
Yes.
Barrister Bashir, here in Academy of Islamic Studies, PhD Law. Coincidentally, I will present a paper tomorrow on the impact of Sharia legal system on female higher education in Nigeria. And I'm very lucky to attend this lecture. Thank you, Doctor. I have got more light, and it will assist me in my tomorrow's presentation. I look at this in three perspectives. 3 problems, 3 solutions. We have to be practical to find practical solution to problems. The first problem is, sorry to say, biological denial. The second one, religious misconception. And finally, cultural and governmental policy. The first one, biological denial, just as in sports, and as it is proven scientifically, actually, women, I don't want to use the word weaker, you see, are not vulnerable, right? Okay, no. Actually, in strength, you see, women are not as strong as men. Look at Olympics, games, for instance. Why? The West themselves decide football for men, football for women. Why? They are equal. What a man can do, a woman can do even better. So why? So let us be practical. You see, this is one thing actually. The second thing is religious misconception, especially in northern Nigeria. Rather people believe that Sharia, the Islamic law, is against women education and things like that. But in Islamic history, we have seen a lot of learned women. You see, yeah, I don't want to mention the word Boko Haram because they have members everywhere. So I did not mention their names. so, so actually, this misconception of the Sharia, the Sharia system, the law. Sharia is in approval, total approval of female education. You see, what is portrayed is actually it's not the true Sharia. What is going on in northern Nigeria, you see, as you see, it's not the proper, it's not the true Sharia. So, and we have the solution is to make an orientation, you see, to go around and then preach the true Sharia to the local people so that they will allow their daughters to pursue higher education. So there is the need for this orientation. And then cultural and governmental policy. You see, culturally, actually, we have this problem. Women should remain in the kitchen and things like that. They should not go to office. Things like that. Actually, there should be orientation for this. The government should have a special policy for women education, for instance, special schools for women, married women. If you say your daughter will not get paid after secondary education until she finishes her first degree, you will have clash with culture. And it is very, very difficult to eradicate this in the northern Nigeria. So the solution is to have a government policy, a special school for married women, so that they are married and simultaneously they're pursuing their education. Emphasis should be given to this, but there is no way you will stop this cultural this thing. Yes, block. It's part of the society. So these are the few solutions. Thank you.
But I'm not very happy when people say you can't stop this, it's part of the culture. Men are the gatekeepers of culture. You can't say, let's do it because that's how we've always done it. Let me give you an example. When a man dies, you know what happens to his wife? I don't know about the north, but in the south, I do know that they'll shave your hair. If possible, every hair on your body, wherever it is, will be shaved off. If possible, with broken bottle, razor, whatever. You understand that? That is bad. The only reason we're doing that is because we have always done it. They did it in the past. As bad as it is, we have continued to do it simply because we've always done it. Now, because it's our culture, we can't do away with it. A woman who has the ability to go to school, read whatever course she can, and then remain in that job and contribute her quota to national development cannot do it simply because there is culture to, to keep. So I'm looking at the issue of men rising up to the occasion, removing the barriers which they themselves have placed on their wives, on their daughters. Thank you.
I don't want it to sound as if I am being overzealous, though, but from the perspective of a lawyer, the issue of culture has to do not with public law, but with personal law of the individual practicing the culture. That is why also the development, the lack of culture in Malaysia, for instance, has also not taken away the hijab. The fact that a person is a professor does not stop the person from wearing the hijab. That's a cultural issue, and it attaches to her person. No, you see, in most Islamic countries, there is no difference between the religion and culture. They are intertwined together because the Islam is based on the teachings of the Quran. So for the North in Nigeria, the culture is the religion. While yeah, it's a mixture, it's the same thing. But in the southern part of Nigeria, the cultural law or customary law is different from the civil law. So it's somehow culture attaches to the person and is not something that can be removed by legislation. It cannot be removed by legislation. What I think is that there has to be gradual awareness, gradual teachings, slow education, trying to convince the people. And in doing that, you're likely to come head on with religious leaders, to come head on with dictates of culture, even the political, even politics itself, the leadership. For instance, Malaysia officially is an Islamic country. So how do you take away that attachment? Saudi Arabia is officially an Islamic country. UAE is officially an Islamic country, just like the Republic of Iran. How do you extricate that religiousness out of the political culture of the people or their political history? Is difficult. So it's not just a question of saying it's a problem of culture. The question is, in the context we are talking, is it possible to detach the culture from the people? And I think the answer is no. Thank you.
I beg to disagree with you here, because what we are dealing with is not something that is in us. Culture, yeah, we are culture bearers, it's in us somehow. But the fact of a woman going out to achieve, it's something everyone should appreciate. It's something you would appreciate. If Professor Keke were your wife, I'm not sure you'll be sad about her achievements on a personal level. Good. So if she were your daughter too, you'd be very proud of her. That's all we're talking about. Let the women be able to achieve their full potentials. That's all. It's not about becoming a professor and then not cooking food in your house.
Yeah, but
It's about...
if Professor Keke was in Puda, in Mina, or Sokoto, she wouldn't have achieved what she did. So if culture had placed her in confinement, or if religion had placed her in confinement in Puda, then she probably wouldn't have gone, that far.
Problem. There are people who make people go into Puda. Who are they? Let's fish them out. Let's talk to them. Let's tell them that this woman has the capacity to achieve. Let's agree with them that she should come out. It's impossible because we make it impossible. It's impossible for her to not have 12 children and go to school, get further education, because we say it's impossible. We, not me, the men. Mm-hmm. So I'm of the opinion that this can be done. I'm of the opinion that since women have the ability, that our men can be made to realize that when a woman achieves, it's not even for personal gain, because we are looking to harness the potentials of almost half of our population. So let's go and get it done. Let's tell you, the men, help us to sensitize you to let your women achieve as much as they can. I think you're worried about, the fact that we're using engineering as an example. Engineering is physical and all that. It's no longer physical, one. And it's not only engineering that women are not doing so well. Any job that makes it impossible for her to be wife and mother, to, pander to the whims and caprices of her husband, she will not want to do it. It's not even, the woman will not even want, you don't even have to stop her. So since the woman will willingly drop out of her job to take care of her family, let the man support her to continue in that job. That's all we're saying.
Let me ask you one question.
Yes, sir.
Is there any law in Nigeria that prevents women from gaining admission to study engineering courses in the university?
There is no law, you see.
Okay, hold it. Then the problem is with the women. Period. Hence, there is no debarment, hence, there is no law against them pursuing any subject or any discipline of their choice. They should make efforts. If you are an advocate of women becoming engineers, be it mechanical, chemical, or whatever, come on, encourage them. Let them develop the appetite for these disciplines. You don't blame the men all the time, man. Come on.
We're not blaming the men. We're saying that there's something the men can do. That there's something in the culture that makes it that when a woman enrolls to study any form of science, that she's likely to get married along the line and drop out. We know that it's in the culture.
Are you discouraging early marriage, Dr. Kichi?
Discouraging early marriage?
Discouraging early marriage?
By all intents and purposes, I am discouraging early marriage. I am discouraging. I am against it. So, marriage before the age of 25, this is a personal opinion.
Even here in Malaysia, yeah, girls here in Malaysia marry at 20, 21, on the average, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm saying my personal opinion is that no one should marry that early. Now, back to what we're saying.
Can we pay attention?
Back to what we're saying. There's something in our culture that discourages the woman. Because you don't want to finish reading. You can't practice. And then again, they get into school, then you come and marry them. Do you know that in this day and age, a man will not marry a girl who's not in the university? If you must marry early, then go and marry those ones who are not in school. Leave the ones in school. So they get married, they drop out. If they don't drop out, you will notice that they don't, that is, if they finish the first degree, you will notice that they are not willing to continue. It's not because they don't have the ability. It's not because they don't have the capacity. It's because there's something in our culture that makes it the best thing for her to do is stay at home and take care of her family. That's the truth. Now, who can help her? Who can encourage her? But you should ask me, how come at my age, I have 5 children, I've finished reading, that is, I've done my PhD. How come? What happened? Because I have the support of a man who is willing to take care of the baby so that I can go out. A man who's ready to share housework. You can do the same. So many other men in Nigeria can do the same. Why aren't they doing it? Culture. That's all we're saying. It's not a war. People can get married when they want to, but not early. But if the man supports the woman, she can achieve what any other man can achieve. Thank you.
Right. I think in view of the time, and also, we don't want to make this a discussion of battle of the sexes here, but I think it is good that, we have, both sides of the coin, the man's perspective and the woman's perspective. And of course, there are lots of differences, coming from different nations, Malaysia and Nigeria or Africa, for that matter. There are a lot for us to learn, from each other. And that is the reason why, we have this ADUN project. Now, this ADUN project, it's basically a collaboration between Africa University and also the Asian University. And I'm really glad, that we have, a number of African friends who are here. And in this ADUN project, we are still looking for collaborators from Africa. So if you do have colleagues, or you yourself that are interested in being part of this ADUN project, now the ADUN project consists of 5 sub-projects here: public health, renewable energy, sustainable waste management, food security, and women in science and technology. And I think our friend there who is from the law faculty, we do have, our own team here, women in science and technology, that is looking at bioethics of women, being participants in research. So if you're interested, you can come aboard and speak to, the person who is in charge is Dr. Siti Nouraini. She is from the Department of Science and Technology Studies, and she is actually part of the group, but unfortunately she's not here this morning. So there again, I think we do need to seriously look into all these areas, that we have right now under this ADUN. And of course, the ADUN is under the umbrella of UNDP. With that, please join me in thanking our guest speaker for her excellent presentation. As a token of appreciation, could I invite Professor Azira Hashim to present our guest speaker, a token of thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Please have some refreshments there.
Excuse me before we...